What would my ideal collaborators be? Hot 30-year-old man. This album was actually the hardest for me to create. I think for me the second album came quite quickly after the first. I've been travelling, I've met loads of new people, my whole life opened up and I had loads of inspiration actually. This one took almost 3 years of like painstaking work and it was really intense. I really suffered from like artist block and just got so frustrated and felt like I was never going to be able to write a song again. It was a real journey internally of like my emotional landscape. You know, it was like really getting to know myself on quite a raw level. Like I've only got me to turn to. Like what can I say? And just really sitting with like a lot of different feelings and trying to work out how to make songs out of those things. I mean, I phoned up friends, like musician friends. I phoned up Thom Yorke and I was like, what do you do when you feel like you're going to die because you can't write anything? And he said, I draw. And a couple of other people I've spoken to have said that. And actually, I think that's a really good piece of advice because if you can't write music, do something else creative that's not got so much pressure attached to it. So I did life drawing classes, I did pottery, I did a illustrating for children's books thing, and I read loads of books and watched films, and all of that was very creative. It wasn't necessarily music, but it kept me thinking and kept it, you know, flowing a bit rather than just clamming up completely and sort of not really knowing what to do with yourself. I chose Ryan McGinley specifically to take the picture because I'm a fan of his work and I'd seen some images that are kind of similar to the album artwork, except that they were people with wild animals around their necks, which I was kind of really intrigued by. So when I saw it, I immediately thought of him. You know, the way a lot of women are portrayed in the media is quite sexual and just like for the male gaze, I think, and for me this was more about representing more of a multi-dimensional image that, you know, in it I could be being powerful and strong, or I could be quite vulnerable or quite sad or quite sexual or quite sensual, or, you know, rescuing someone or fed up of someone or having to carry some, like, you know, I feel like there's a lot of different aspects to me as a woman, and I didn't want to just sort of like put forward a really one-dimensional thing that I think you get a lot of in the media. When I was making this album, I went to this place called Charleston House, which is in the Sussex countryside, and Virginia Woolf and her sisters and people that she knew lived there, and they all painted the house from top to bottom. Just everything, every surface was painted in patterns and colours, and they all kind of swapped partners and had children and, you know, ran naked in the gardens and stuff, and that would probably be quite an interesting place to hang out for a bit. I think that it's important to kind of keep pushing boundaries and being as creative as you can, and not really being dictated to by the mainstream or by mainstream radio, because I think that's quite a sort of narrow genre. And I don't know if England's missing anything, but I think celebrating our history and our landscape is important. For me, it was a more sort of just reconnecting to nature and the wildness, and there's a real pagan history and there's a real wild kind of respect of nature, respect of like the magic of the landscape, and there's been so many poets and artists and painters that have celebrated that in the past, and I think it's important to keep that alive and maybe not miss it under a, you know, a blanket of concrete. Who would I haunt? Oh my God. Do you mean that I'd want to frighten someone, or someone that I'd want to perv over? Like, it's a personal question. It's very revealing. I don't think I'm going to answer that question. If River Phoenix was still alive, I'd probably haunt him. If he was haunting someone, we could hang out in the spirit realm together, yeah. I've actually had a poltergeist experience myself. I was in a recording studio in deepest, darkest Wales, in the middle of nowhere, and staying in this like coach house that had been converted into a bedroom on my own. And in the middle of the night I had a massive crash, and I came down the stairs in the pitch dark, turned the lights on, and there was like a hi-fi system had flung itself off of the wall and was about 7 foot away. The leads were taut and it wasn't even turned on, it was just, and all the speakers are broken. So who was that? Was that River Phoenix? I don't think so.